Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for our Friday Mystery Guest MNCs. I'm very excited to introduce our mystery guest, Roshonda DeGraffenreid, who is joining us from the Career Development Center. However, what's really fun and more important is that Roshonda is also an alum. Roshonda is the class of 2010 for Francis Perkins, so we're really excited to welcome you on.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Roshonda, before we get started, I need to know what your MNCs looks like at home today, because I've got some cookies and I've got some milk here. What do you got going on over there?
So I have cookies too, chocolate chip. You can't go wrong with chocolate chip for your MNCs.
This is what I have. I have chocolate
right?
chip.
Yeah, so that's a staple to MNCs. And then I have coffee, but it's iced coffee right now because it's been sitting on the counter for a little bit. So I have my coffee and my cookies. So yeah, I'm ready to have a conversation with you.
Roshonda, can you, we'll get the housekeeping kind of out of the way here before we get into big conversations with heavy-hitting questions that are actually going to be really super light and fun. Can you tell us, share your pronouns with us, and then tell us a little bit about what you do at the Career Development Center?
So my name is Roshonda DeGraffenreid. I serve as the Senior Associate Director of External Relations in the Career Development Center. I use she, her pronouns. And essentially what my fancy title means is that my team and I work to support students with connecting with alums and employers. What that looks like on a daily basis is that our team will work to cultivate and retain relationships with the employers so that students are able to connect with them and one day get hired, whether it's for a paid internship or a full-time entry-level opportunity. Our team also is responsible for managing all the different information sessions that students see on campus, whether it's through employment, employers, or graduate programs. Our team also will do professional development workshop with students in terms of best practices around engaging with alums and employers. We managed career fairs. I mean, I could go on, but I'll stop right there. So our team will also support to manage some of the business development programs so students could leverage it through the 3 college consortia. I mentioned the 3 college consortia because our recruiting team or the external relation team has an articulated an agreement with Smith and Amherst so our students could take advantage of information sessions or recruiting opportunities that are taking place at those campuses, as vice versa, like those students being able to come to our campus as well. So we do a lot, but we enjoy the work that we're doing and being able to provide students with opportunities.
That's great. Thanks so much, Roshonda. And when questions start coming through, we'll make sure you get an opportunity to answer those as well. Well, this is going to be light and kind of just lighthearted and carefree, if you will. But what's the best thing that's happened to you this week?
Wow. So I'm going to go back
to than being invited to do this, of course.
Well, you know, this is the main one. This is the main one. But I'm going to go back to last week. So there was a letter that went out, or an email, I should say, that went out to the Mount Holyoke alum community regarding this is a situation around like the status of internship hiring and employment hiring and how it's impacting, like COVID-19 is currently impacting employment internships. And my executive director, Liz Learman, and the association's executive director, Nancy, I'm forgetting why, Nancy Perez, sent out an appeal letter to the community just asking for help, whether it was creating a remote internship for students or just sharing information about postings that they may have had available at their various organizations, or even connecting in Handshake. The response that we received from the community was overwhelming. Like literally the letter went out around 11, around noon, and we had like several responses.
That's great.
I know, it's really humbling, right? I know we've seen this in the course of the month, how responsive our alums are being to supporting students, and to be a part of that, seeing that and working within that has been very humbling. And so I feel so thankful and blessed to be a part of that. Yeah, so our team essentially was a part of the intake and management of getting it into Handshake. so students could access the opportunities. And then we're also going to send it out to the different academic departments. So that has been my week, getting that all lined up, sent out, so students could hopefully, let's knock on wood on that one, feel inspired to apply. And so folks could get Mount Holyoke interns and recent graduates hired into the organization. So
that's great. And fingers crossed there. And Colleen actually has just shared the link for anybody that's interested in continuing to enhance that list of alumni partnerships. That's perfect. We'll do that. And it's in your chat box if you need it. You know what? I'm just realizing that I forgot to introduce myself in my excitement and enthusiasm to connect with you, Roshonda.
How dare you?
I know. So for those of you on the call that don't know me, my name is Janencia Wood. I work at the Alumnae Association as the Director of Alumni Inclusion and Events. And that basically means I get to do things like this, either virtually and in person, but really the goal is to make sure that everybody feels welcome and making sure everybody has a place to connect with one another with the Alumnae Association and the college. And in an ideal world, when we're ready to get back to it, with students. So, Roshonda, what is your favorite place on campus?
Oh, wow. You're putting me on the spot because I have so many. Like, because Mount Holyoke is a beautiful campus. I mean, look at the backdrop that you have currently.
I know.
So,
that looks like Wilder.
Yeah, I think so. You know, being a Francis Perkins Scholar, I used to commute to the institution. So the various dorms, I always mix up. So I'm not going to call it out for folks in that are part of our chat. Please feel free to acknowledge what that building is in the background.
I think
it's beautiful. Yeah, I think it's Wilder. But know that, yeah, I have like several, and it goes by season. So right now, I really like the Lower Lake trails. So seeing the change of season and being able to walk that trail and being able to sit on the park bench and watching the waterfall is absolutely beautiful. I tend to go, now that it's warming up, I'll go out there and have lunch. I love the greenhouse during this period as well, because they just did the flower show, and go and get inspired to see what I'm going to try to plant for the summer. Just the aromas, the different flowers, I really enjoy. During the school year, I like the Fimble Lab. So it's relatively new to Mount Holyoke campus, and I believe it's in Prospect. The lower level is Prospect.
It
and
is.
I know they open it up during the during reunion time. So definitely, when you're back on campus, I encourage you all to come check it out, because it's a really cool space. It overlooks the lake over there.
I don't know I believe it's the Lower Lake.
Yeah, the Lower Lake.
It's
absolutely beautiful. Every now and then you'll see an appearance from Jorge, but you get to do some really cool projects. I know they did during Valentine's, they'll do like a chocolate mold a workshop, which is really, really cool. Yeah,
that is fun. Yeah, for those of you who have not explored the Fimble Maker Space, we'll share that. It is Lower Lake. Thank you, Nancy. Share that link with you all. And also, Roshonda did mention the flower show that happens around this time. Well, guess what? If you've taken a look at your Laurel chain that just went out, it gives you an opportunity to take a virtual walkthrough the 2020 flower show.
Oh, wow.
So make sure to, just a quick plug for the Laurel chain, take a look at that for everything that you can do. That's great. So what do you miss the most about being on campus right now?
Oh, wow. I miss the students. So we still meet with students virtually, whether it's through our various virtual workshops or individual advising meetings that we do, but I really miss seeing them and fellowshipping with them in person. There's nothing like having someone walking to your office to celebrate their success or challenges that are going on in Mount Holyoke, and just be able to touch their hand or give them a hug. It's just, yeah, I really miss those exchanges. So yeah, I'm missing the students. And then being able to attend some of the events that they do in the course of the springtime period. During this time period, there's like tons of celebrations and conferences taking place on campus. So I miss attending those. So, yeah. I miss that.
I can understand that. Even as just a worker, a staff person on campus, I miss the interconnectedness we have with staff. You know what I mean? We walk across and see each other and bump into each other. It's nice. Mm-hmm. So definitely feeling the strain of not being there. Mm-hmm. So what is the favorite time of year for your job?
My job, I would say around now. Okay. Definitely April, May. Well, for my job, well, I would just say for me. My job may be different for me during this time period, because typically at the end of March, we have just completed our Link on the Road Boston track. So we've just engaged a cohort of alums. Students are really excited. They're really thinking about their next steps in terms of summer or thinking about their post-Mount Holyoke careers. And so then we'll have a bunch of different large events. The internship kickoff that we do with students, where we tend to invite alums to that, takes place during this time period. So I really enjoy this time period. And then we're also, during this time period, we're typically preparing for supporting our seniors, launching our seniors off. Mm-hmm. So encouraging them to come in and have conversations with us, whether they have an opportunity or not. It's really getting them to think about how they see themselves post Mount Holyoke. And we'll do our My Journey Begins picture during this time period, where we begin to post those pictures, and then really just being in a place of celebration with students and our current recent students that are in the process of graduating. That is right. You just reminded me, you are typically in the My Journey Begins phase. Oh, okay. Now another thing I miss about being on and know that we're still going to do it. We're still going to do My Journey Begins. Yay! But it's going to look a little bit differently this year. So no, that's coming up. Mm-hmm. Well, that seems to be the trend. Things are just going to look a little bit different this year. So completely understandable. And back to a fun question. What is your favorite Mount Holyoke tradition? Here you go with the difficult questions. I have so many. Wow. So I have like 5. Well, so there's like 26. No, there's much more. There's like 50. And yeah. And since 1976, they've doubled. So it's like every 25, 30 years, we're adding so many traditions. So tell us 2 phases. Tell us what your favorite tradition was when you were a student. Ooh. And then what it is now as an alum. Still, I have like a million. So I used to, as a student, I love MNCs. So as a commuter student, I didn't have the experience of the dorm, but on Wednesdays in the library, they used to have MNCs in the Simpson room. Oh. I religiously attended that event. And, it was nothing like studying in the library and at 4:00 going to get some cookies and tea on the little fine china, right? And I could recall like hanging out with some of my friends, well, not hanging out, but studying with friends. And I'm like, oh, I have to leave you. I'm going to get some cookies. You can join me or stay here and study. And I'll be like, oh, Roshonda, you're overreacting. And I was like, I'm going to bring you some cookies. And I would bring them cookies and they would be so appreciative. And then strawberries and champagne. That was another one. I attended every one, even when it wasn't my graduation year to celebrate. That's hysterical. So strawberries and champagne actually is a newer tradition. So since the 90s. So some of our alums that are on the chat today will probably go, that was not a tradition when I was there. Oh, wow. But this is how they evolve, right? So yeah, strawberries and champagne was rolled out in the 90s and has held strong since. Wow, I can see why. It's a good time. It's a good time. And even it's evolved since I was a student. So yeah. Okay. So really, I enjoy that event. Yay. Okay. So now we know. And when you're dropping in, I love it. Mm-hmm. Someone says strawberries and champagne now, please. Yes, 95. So
just so you know, I believe in France and maybe England, I don't know, I'm terrible with time zones. Nonetheless, parts of Europe are it's 5 o'clock right there. So they're like 5 or 6 hours ahead of us. So they're in that drink time. So
we could do cookies and cocktails.
Right, cookies and cocktails. Exactly. That's great. So just another prompt for anybody that's on the call that would like to just ask a question for Roshonda. We'll keep putting her on the spot. She's great at the hot spot. And you can do that by entering your question into the chat. But in the meantime, all right, this is going to be a heavy one. Are you ready?
Okay.
Tell us about what you're working on over the next 30 days and why it's important to the viewers today. Oh, look, but before we do that, I'm going to give you a second to think about that response. It says, countries in Asia, it's true MNC times with 9:30.
Ooh.
So yes, thank you. We're actually, Vijaya, thank you for joining us. I'm so excited to have you here, but we're hoping to switch these up. I mentioned this earlier as well, but we're hoping to switch these up to continue to capture different audiences at different times globally. So stay tuned for that.
That's awesome.
All right. So what are you all working on the next 30 days? And then I'll jump into the other questions that are coming in.
Yeah, so the next 30 days, we're continuing with program. Typically, we would begin slowing down program, but because of COVID-19, the impact of COVID-19, we're going to be doing program well into the summer.
That's great.
In terms of my individual team and work, we'll begin outreaching to employers. Well, collecting that data, like who we've engaged in the last couple of years, and then begin reaching out. So that list has everyone from different employers to alums that we'll be reaching out to in the course of May and into June. And just inviting them in for a conversation, getting an understanding of their recruiting for the up and coming year, and making decisions on how they want to engage Mount Holyoke throughout this up and coming year coming.
That's incredible. Yeah, so it's nice to know you guys are still continuing programming through the summer. I know that students are eager and hopeful of that, so that's great. Someone did ask if you can explain My Journey Begins in more detail. What is that?
Oh yeah, so really it's around, My Journey Begins is essentially a photo campaign, getting students to think about how they see themselves post Mount Holyoke, and it's typically targeted to the graduating class. And so they have an opportunity to write on a piece of paper, like My Journey Begins, and where they aspire for their journey to begin after Mount Holyoke. Mount Holyoke students, because they tend to want something concrete, will put their employment opportunity or their graduate program. And then there's some that aren't sure, and they're putting some aspirational thoughts on a little card, and then they're taking a picture with it. And it's such a feel-good moment in time because not everyone has something right after Mount Holyoke, and that's totally okay, but they're beginning to think about it. And then they're also sharing information of where they're going. So it's a way of us collecting outcomes as well.
That's great. And Colleen just is all on this. You can see some of those pictures by going to the link that she just posted from 2017 for those of you that are curious about those images. And yeah, so thanks, Colleen. The teamwork makes the dream work, am I right? Mm-hmm. So we only have a few minutes left, but I just want to, again, put a quick prompt. If you are asking for questions, oh, hang on, I have something coming in. Can you ask folks to click on the drop-down menu to allow all participants, if they want everyone to see what they write? Yes, so if you click on the drop-down menu on the chat so that you can see what everybody is saying and what the questions are coming in, you can do that by clicking on the chat feature at the bottom of your screen. And then it'll expand it to the side panel of your screen. And for those of you who are on the phone, this will be made available again later on for viewing if that's something you want to do. And then you'll also see some of these questions that are coming through as well. All right, so we do only have a few minutes left, so if you have any hot and burning questions, please make sure to submit those via the chat feature. However, in the meantime, I'll ask Roshonda this question. What are you hopeful for over the next few weeks?
Oh, what am I hopeful for? In terms of work or just in general?
I'm going to say open, right? Any life or work?
Just the folks continue to be safe and healthy if possible. So that's my overall hope. In terms of work, I'm hopeful that right now there's definitely an energy around our student population around feeling it's an overwhelming time period across the board. So my hope for them is that to let them know that it's okay. It is, we're all overwhelmed, right? But to still consider thinking about how they see themselves over the summer post Mount Holyoke. And my hope is that they will be open to having continued conversations with the Career Development Center, that they won't turn away because the energy of uncertainty is overwhelming for them.
Absolutely. And you know what? I know that so many of us, very appropriately so, are worried about the students and everything that's going on for this class of 2020 specifically. So I'm joining you and just hoping that people use this opportunity to be safe and kind of come together in that sense. And moving over the summer, making sure that these students have what they need. And those that are still on campus.
Yeah.
Oh, well, look at that. Nancy and I are in lockstep. She's asking, do you all have a sense of how students are doing during these challenging times? Roshonda, you have a first view with the students. Do you want to share what you've kind of come across?
Yeah, and I would say that I've only been in conversation with a small population, but overall, I think they're trying to adjust to the new normal, right? So whether they're on campus or in their various home spaces, that it's new to work in, to do school at those various spaces and from a remotely. So overall, I think students are slowly but surely adjusting. They're finding community online. So some of them are still continuing with their student organizations, and a lot of them are involved in student senate. So they're finding their way. I will say that there probably is a portion of them are feeling a bit isolated. But I know that the team here at Mount Holyoke is doing their best to continue to engage students and to make sure that they have what they need in order to thrive in this environment.
Absolutely, and I'll just add that, I've had some interaction with some students. The Office of Student Life has developed a program for staff and faculty to serve as mentors and or resources for students that are still on campus. So just know that, to echo what Roshonda has said, there is 100% focus on making sure that the students both on campus and off campus are feeling supported through this difficult moment. So thank you for that, Roshonda. So for those of you that are on the call, if there's anyone that you'd love to see come on MNCs, Mystery MNCs as a guest, please let me know. You can do that by just emailing us on the main page that Colleen had originally shared. Colleen, if you can share that Powered by page again for those of you that want to share with your classmates and your friends. Again, these are recorded and then posted. We probably take a couple of days for that to happen, but we get them up as soon as possible. But thank you so much, Roshonda, for joining us for this conversation, and enjoy your milk and cookies and, well, your nice coffee and cookies. It's a good lunch, so we could do that. And for those of you joining us, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate the support and look forward to continue to deliver programming that is resonating for you all. So thank you all for coming, and have a great rest of your Friday. Thank you, Roshonda.
Thank you.
Bye.